Hey, welcome on everyone. So today we're going to be doing the Claude 101, other ways to work with Claude. And I'll add the link in the description. So let's get to it. So I'll share my screen. Boom, entire screen. And yeah. So as I said, this will be other ways to work with Claude. And this is the Claude 101 course. So it says for the learning objectives, by the end of this lesson, you will be able to understand when to use additional Claude products, including Claude Code, Claude for Slack, Claude for Excel, Claude for PowerPoint, and Claude for Chrome. All right. And it's as we mentioned at the start of this course, Claude is an intelligence. Claude AI is just one way of working with it. So Claude is also available in several specialized tools designed to meet you where you already work. This lesson introduces 5 additional ways to work with Claude, each tailored to specific workflows and use cases. All right. So usually we don't watch the video until we finish everything, but I think this is set up in different subsections. So there's a Claude Code section, and then there's a Claude in Slack section, and then a Claude for Excel. So we're gonna read each section and then watch the video for each. All right. So now for Claude Code, it says Claude Code is an agentic coding tool that works where you work, in your terminal, IDE, browser, or even in Slack. Understands your code base, executes commands, and handles entire development workflows through natural language. Natural language means you can just talk to it regular and it do whatever you want it to do. When to use Claude Code? You want to build features by describing what you need in plain English and have Claude write the code, run tests, and create commits. All right. Another use case is you need to debug issues by pasting error messages and having Claude analyze your code base to identify and fix the problems. Basically, if you get an error message on something you're working and you just want to be able to copy that error message and just paste it in the Claude for it to find out what the problem is. Another thing is you're navigating, and let's maximize this actually. You're navigating an unfamiliar code base and want to ask questions about how different parts work together. So if you're new, maybe you're new to a job and they have a huge code base, and you could go through and read it. I mean, that was how we used to all do it. But now with Claude, we can kind of have it kind of explain how different pieces and kind of speed up that learning process, that onboarding process. You want to automate tedious tasks like fixing lint errors, resolving merge conflicts, or writing release notes. You prefer working in your terminal alongside your existing IDE and development tools rather than switching to a separate interface. All right. So that was pretty much Claude Code, right? So let's just look at the video they have for us. I'll actually maximize this. It's only 1 minute. I like the music too. Okay. So yeah, that's a tough way how we kind of explain. I feel like the only thing I feel like that went by super fast. Like yeah, like it just. I'm actually gonna run it back. All right. And that's one thing. We run back things. So it's a reminder. Let's just stop it right there. So it's a morning team. Stand up is in 90 minutes. Friendly reminder. Let's try to close out the QA bugs from last week's testing round before we kick off new work. We still got 2 open. Make the inventory dashboard update in real time and round subscription discount amounts down to the nearest dollar. Okay. So basically there are 2 bugs left. And yeah, before we start any new tasks, he's saying, Matt right here is saying, you got to finish up those bugs. All right. Okay. And he asked the first question. He says, remember they said update the database in real time and round off to the nearest dollar. I think that's what I said. Let's go back. Yeah, main inventory dashboard update in real time and round subscription discount amounts down to the nearest dollar. All right, cool. Add real time inventory. So I can see dashboard. That's the first one. I guess you're using React for this. I like this beat. I know he asked the second question. Round description discounts down to the nearest dollar. So he knocking out those 2 bugs first. And then he even said, yo, write some tests. So unit tests, all of that. Okay, I noticed he had both of those fixes going on in parallel. So create the pull request, send it up. That's the inventory one. 2 bugs down, PR is ready for review. You're next on my list. All right. That was tough. Yeah, I'm big up to Claude for the music. That's a tough song. That's a tough beat. All right, so now the next one is Claude in Slack. And again, we'll read first and then we'll watch a video after. So Claude integrates directly with Slack, allowing you to get help in channels and threads or bring Slack context into your Claude conversations. All right. So basically, you can use Claude in Slack, and you can have your Slack details, Claude user Slack details. So when to use Claude in Slack, you want to draft responses to messages, summarize lengthy threads, or break down complex discussions without leaving Slack. Okay. You need to prepare for meetings by having Claude pull together relevant conversations and share documents from your workspace. All right. So, like when you might have a thread in Slack with a bunch of people adding different stuff, people add documents, all of that, you can just have Claude to summarize, get everything you need instead of going through a huge, long thread. You're onboarding to a new team and want help understanding ongoing projects by reviewing channel history. Cool. You want to hand off coding tasks directly from a bug report or feature discussion. Just tag Claude and it can spin up a Claude code session using the surroundings context. I don't really get that. So you want to hand off coding tasks directly from a bug report, like a bug in Jira or something. Just tag Claude and it can spin up a Claude code session using the surrounding context. Oh, that's tough. So if there is a bug, you can just reference it and Claude will start working on the fix. You need to quickly get answers about industry trends, technical concepts, or company information during a conversation. Cool. Now let's check out the vid. This one's short too, 41 seconds. Let's stop this because we got to pay attention. I need to read. So basically the first thing Alex says is, team, we're getting reports that checkout process is slow during peak hours. The database queries are timing out and customers are abandoning their carts. I looked at the logs. It's definitely a database performance issue. The queries are taking 8+ seconds during traffic spikes. Okay. We need to explain this to product team and propose a solution. The technical details around the database indexing are pretty complex. Anyone have time to help break this down? I'm debugging payment issue maybe after lunch. Oh, okay. So basically there's some issue happening and basically one of our engineers is just busy working on an issue. And well, basically, we could just ask Claude for this. So hit play. Okay, so let me try something. She added in Claude. Let's pause it for a second. Go back here. So it said, hi, Claude. I need to explain database indexing and performance optimization to our product team. Okay, so it's like an engineer explaining this to a product, a non-technical person maybe. Can you help me break this down in simple terms? Yeah. So it's like a technical person explaining a technical issue to a non-technical person. And she's just asking for help on how to break this down into simple terms so anybody can understand. So Claude, give us the info. All right, so the problem during peak traffic, it's like 1,000 people asking the librarian for books at once without proper indexing. Everyone waits in a long line. That's a good explanation. And now she want to use performance metrics and more data. Missing indexes and frequent queries. Proposed solution, add strategic database indexes. Optimize 3 critical queries, 85% faster. Okay. That was quick. Usually takes me hours to put together. I like how they said that. Usually takes me hours to put together that kind of analysis and research. Seriously, thank you, Claude. I can present this to the product team this afternoon. It's crazy I can click on this from a video. That's stuff. I didn't even know that was a thing. All right. This is perfect timing. Can you share the customer impact analysis in our product strategy channel? Okay. Just forward the message and you just send it over. So yeah, so that's stuff. I like that. Oops, run it again. That beat was nice too. It's more chill though. All right, so we're gonna read this one more time. So Claude integrates directly with Slack, allowing you to help in channels and threads, or bring Slack context into your Claude conversations, just like she did. All right. So Claude for Excel. I haven't used Excel in years. Probably since college, maybe. All right. So Claude for Excel brings Claude directly into Microsoft Excel. Claude for Excel brings Claude directly into Microsoft Excel through a sidebar, allowing you to analyze, understand, and modify spreadsheets through conversation. When to use Claude for Excel, you're working with a complex multi-tab workbook and want to understand how specific formulas or calculations flow work. Or what? You're working with a complex multi-tab workbook. Oh yeah, multi-tab this thing. And want to understand how specific formulas or calculation flows work across sheets. Okay. You need to update assumptions or inputs across your model while preserving formula dependencies and relationships. You're debugging spreadsheet errors like ref value not or circular references and want Claude to trace them to their source and suggest fixes. So it can help with fixes. I got that one easy. You want to create new spreadsheets or populate existing templates with data while maintaining proper formula structure. You need to quickly build pivot tables or charts to visualize the data. All right, cool. Let's run the video. This is a long one. This is 6 minutes.
This is Claude for Excel. So you may be familiar with Claude in other contexts. Claude has a mobile app and a desktop application, as well as our website, Claude.ai, and even Claude Code. But Claude is also available inside the environment that you use the most, inside your Excel workbooks. And I want to show you today what that looks like. So here I've got an HR headcount plan. Let's say you just inherited this headcount planning model from a colleague. It's got multiple tabs, formulas linking everywhere, and you need to get up to speed. But instead of clicking through each sheet trying to piece it together, let's just ask Claude. So the first thing I'm going to do is open Claude from the upper right. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger so we can see it a little bit better. And then I'm going to start asking it questions. So the first question I have here is really just about context. Walk me through this workbook. What's on each tab and how do they connect? And what you'll see Claude doing is starting to explore the workbook. It's not just listing the tabs, it's explaining the data flow, it's reading everything and understanding how everything links together. And you can see here, it's talking about how assumptions is the place where the central inputs come in that affect the model. And then that links into headcount, which feeds into compensation, which ultimately rolls up into a summary tab. So in seconds, you can understand how the whole model works. This is exactly the kind of analysis that you could get.
So it's breaking down how this Excel worksheet works. So it sounds like Claude is going in, checking these different work tabs here. So assumptions, headcount, compensation, summary. I'm pretty much just explaining it based on all of that. That's tough. Instead of me having to go in tab by tab and doing all of that.
From the person who created the model in the first place. But in this case, Claude is really just doing it for you.
And it looked like it found some issues too. And kind of identify them.
At your context. Now you can see here, something interesting came up. It's found an error. There's a ref error in the headcount tab. We can go over here to the headcount tab to take a look at that. So you can see, yep, there's at least one, maybe several ref errors here. The first one is in E15. And so Claude is offering to investigate and fix the references that are cascading throughout this workbook. So
gotta like that. So if you find an error, it actually try and fix it. Just be like, yo, this is an error, you figure it out. But ask if you want it, fix it though. So in some cases, it will actually just go ahead.
Do that. So we'll tell Claude there's a ref error in cell E15 on the headcount tab. Can you diagnose and can you fix this? And what Claude will do is trace the error. It already understands a fair amount of the specific context from its initial analysis. And here it can see the issue, right? It can see what's going on. It understands what the broken problem is. Now it's giving you a choice. It's saying, well, my recommendation would be to replace the formula with 0. And, there's other ways to do this. You could set it to 1 if you are planning to hire someone, or it could be a different value you specify. So in this case, I'm actually just going to say to Claude, use your best judgment. I could give it a specific answer to the question, saying 0, 1 or other. But in this case, I want to see what Claude does.
Mm-hmm. I do that
so
too
Claude
sometimes.
is going to analyze and decide, essentially, as it recommended, to set the planned hires to 0. So now you can see that on the left, the problem has been fixed. The ref errors have gone away.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, the cascade has already happened through the rest of the sheets, creating the appropriate data. So now let's look at something like a scenario model, which is exactly what this model was designed for. And here's where Claude really shines. So let's say leadership asks, what if attrition runs higher than expected this year? So instead of manually updating cells and hoping you didn't break anything, you just say what you want. So I'll go back to the assumptions tab, take a look at this. I've got 10% as my attrition rate. Let's say instead that I want to update my plan to assume 15% attrition instead of 10%. Show me what changes. And what you'll see here is that Claude will make the edit and then give you an analysis across the other tabs of what actually has changed. This will also be reflected in the model itself, so you can go and look at it on your own. But Claude is going to give you a walkthrough, and it's going to help you understand what actually changed. Now, the headcount projections, compensation costs, all of those things recalculated correctly because the formulas are helping to do that. It's not just individual cells. And some of this is purely built into Excel. Other things are things that Claude is able to pull out for you and also help you recalculate based on those relationships. So now let's try to visualize this data. Let's say that leadership wants a visual breakdown of headcount by department and level. We'll go over to the summary tab because that's probably the most logical place to put it. So now what we really want, let's just say, a pivot table and a chart would be really helpful. So we'll give Claude that direction and let's see what Claude does. So you can see Claude is planning to create a pivot table from the headcount data, and it's also going to create a bar chart to go with it. And you can see this is the pivot table right here that managed to produce that pretty quickly. And then it's going to create a stacked bar chart. That sounds like the right basic visual. And you can see down here, yep, that's exactly what I get. I could have given it more specific direction on formatting or on exactly how to produce this, but that really seems just about right to me. And so you can see over here, essentially it's giving me the option of continuing to adjust the formatting. But there's no digging through menus. There's no formatting headaches. You just tell Claude what you need and it builds it. All right, one last thing. Let's say that you want to add a new calculation that doesn't exist yet. So if I scroll over a little bit here, you'll see I have base salary as my last item in here. And what I'd really like is something like fully loaded cost. So let's add that. Let's add a column that calculates the fully loaded cost per employee using the rates on the assumptions tab, but in the context, in this case, of the headcount tab. So Claude's going to add this column, and it's going to use a formula that references the assumptions tab, right? It's not just copying the numbers, it's building formulas. These are the things that you would need.
All right, so that's a lot. And especially if you're not used to Excel, which I haven't used Excel for a lot, it's a lot to just take this in. I think we might actually do a learning just on how to use Claude Excel, but just stick through it. We're almost done. We only got less than a minute left.
To ultimately maintain this model yourself. And so you can see here, it's putting in place fully loaded costs. And it's going to, again, calculate this based on the various things that it knows are going on in this worksheet, and then gives you a fully loaded cost for your team. So that's Claude for Excel. Whether you're exploring an unfamiliar model, debugging errors, running scenarios, or building visualizations, Claude's working alongside you. It's helping to analyze.
Yeah, this is good. I mean, honestly, I didn't follow everything that happened with this, not gonna lie. But from what you can see, where it breaks down the data, analyze everything, pulls out what we need, and create different tables from it. Yeah, you can see, so this is a really powerful tool. But we will be doing a more specific Claude for Excel so that we can refresh our skills with Excel and with Claude.
With the work and actually working within your frameworks rather than giving you something that you have to copy and paste. Claude works alongside you right in your spreadsheet.
Nice.
Thanks.
Big up. All right, so there's that. And because that we didn't fully get that one, I'm gonna just read through some of this a little bit again. So Claude for Excel brings Claude directly into Microsoft Excel through a sidebar. We saw that sidebar, allowing you to analyze, understand, and modify spreadsheets through conversation. When to use Claude if you're working with a complex multi-tab workbook and want to understand how specific formulas or calculation flows work across sheets. So we saw the different workbooks here: assumptions, headcount, compensation, summary. So it says you need to update assumptions or input across your model while preserving formula dependencies and relationships. Cool. Your debugging spreadsheet errors, like, so if you have some errors in the spreadsheet, you can use it to help with that. Okay, you want to create new spreadsheets or populate existing templates with data while maintaining proper formula structure. Okay, so for create new spreadsheets and basically pull out new data from it and create different ones. You need to quickly build pivot tables or charts to visualize the data. And we literally saw it build this table right here. So yeah. So Claude for PowerPoint. Claude for PowerPoint brings Claude into Microsoft PowerPoint as a sidebar. So you can draft, edit, and restructure presentations through conversations while keeping your existing template and brand styling intact. When to use Claude for PowerPoint: when you want to turn on outline, document, or a set of notes. Wait, read that again. When to use Claude for PowerPoint: you want to turn an outline, document, or set of notes into a first draft slide deck without building each slide hand by hand. So basically, if you have a document and you want to convert it to a PowerPoint, boom. You need to rewrite or tighten slide copy, shortening bullets, adding speaker notes, or adjusting tone for specific audience. So if you already have your PowerPoint slide, you can use this to kind of simplify it or just change up some wording or terminology. You're restructuring an existing deck and want to help reordering sections, splitting dense slides, or merging overlapping ones. Cool. Another thing is you can also use like PowerPoint slides, but you can also use it in like, what's the name of the macOS? Yeah, Keynote. You can put a PowerPoint slide in a Keynote. So even if you're on a Mac, you can pretty much have Claude edit the PowerPoint and still open it on your Keynote app on your macOS, even if you don't have PowerPoint exactly, and then still have it exported as a PowerPoint file. Think tough. You'd like quick visual, you want consistent formatting applied across the decks, titles, bullet styles, and layouts without manually fixing each slide. So if you want the same theme throughout for the fonts, the bullet styles, all of that. You'd like quick visual suggestions for a slide, such as which layout or chart type best fits the point you're making. Okay. It didn't give a view for this one for PowerPoint, but good. So the next one is Claude for Chrome, Google Chrome. So now it says, and again, I already know, we about to read this and then we'll watch the video after. Claude for Chrome is a browser extension that adds Claude as a sidebar in Google Chrome. It can observe what you're working on and take actions directly within your browser. When to use Claude for Chrome: when you want to summarize articles, research papers, or web pages while browsing. You need help drafting an email responses or managing your inbox. You're filling out repetitive forms and want to automate the process. I feel like we have a bunch of ways to do that already, though. Like you can just do autofill. You want to test website features or navigate multi-step workflows without manually clicking through each step. You need a browsing assistant that maintains context as you move between tabs and tasks. This makes it great for pulling context from niche internal tools, CRMs, or dashboards. Important note: Claude for Chrome is currently in research preview. Anthropic recommends using it for low-risk tasks on trusted websites. The extension asks for permission before taking high-risk actions like purchasing or sharing personal data. Good. And certain categories of websites, financial services, or adult content are blocked by default. So you can't use it on certain websites. Let's run the video. This one's 1 minute and 19 seconds.
The power of Sonnet 4.5, our state-of-the-art model for computer use directly to your browser. In this example, Claude is helping with a home renovation. It will organize your renovation budget, which is currently spread across a planning doc and several contractor email exchanges. Once prompted, Claude gets to work to collect the right context. In this case, finding all the relevant emails and receipts you've requested.
I feel like for this, I'd probably use a connector instead, and we have a video where we talk about that, but it's like, you can like connect like your Google, maybe Gmail or your Google Drive, and it kind of just pull that information in. But anyways, let's jump back to this.
Claude uses what it learns and actively works with your spreadsheet, tracking down the missing numbers and updating your budget in real time. Finally, Claude makes it easy for you to share your plans with your partner by drafting an email for you. But don't worry, you're still in control of the final edits before you send that email. We took many steps to build this product with safety and security at its core. For example, you control what actions Claude can take through granular permissions.
Nice.
We've also implemented protection against prompt injection attacks and added restrictions around what websites Claude can use.
No adult or
always
financial.
asks for taking sensitive actions like making purchases. Bring Claude to your browser today.
Okay. That was to the point. I like that. That was to the point and good.
Claude for Chrome.
Oops, one time. Sorry. All right. So summary. Each of these tools extends Claude's ability into the specific environments where you work. So Claude AI is a general task. Claude AI is best for general tasks, research, writing, analysis, and file creation. And it runs on web, desktop, and mobile apps. Claude Code is best for software development, code-based navigation, Git workflows. Okay, makes sense. And where it runs, your terminal, your IDE, or even your browser. Claude Cowork is best for complex, multi-step tasks, research briefs, document creation, file organization, data analysis, and where it runs in the desktop and mobile apps by dispatch. All right. Claude Code in Slack is best for team collaboration, meeting prep, quick answers in context, and obviously the Slack workspace. Claude for Excel is best for definitely spreadsheet analysis, financial modeling, formula debugging, and it runs inside Microsoft Excel sidebar. Claude for PowerPoint, though, is best for slide creation. Everybody knows PowerPoint. Presentation editing, formatting and design, and it runs obviously inside Microsoft PowerPoint sidebar. Claude for Chrome is best for web research, email management, browser automation, and it runs inside the Chrome browser side tab. So what's next? All right, so wrap up with a short recap of this course and a quiz to earn your certificate of completion, and you can share on LinkedIn and with your team. So then you can give feedback. So, all right, so that's like the main one for this. So again, let's just do a quick overview. So other ways to work with Claude, as you mentioned at the start of this course, Claude is an intelligence. Claude AI is just one way of working with it. Claude is also available in several specialized tools designed to meet you where you already work. This lesson introduces 5 additional ways to work with Claude, which is the first one, Claude Code. Won't go through all of this, but let's just know that Claude Code is an agentic coding tool that works where you work. In your terminal, IDE, browser, or even Slack. It understands your code base, executes commands, and handles entire development workflows through natural language. Basically, just talking regular. Claude in Slack. Claude integrates directly with Slack, allowing you to help in channels and threads or bring Slack context into your Claude conversation. So info you're having in Slack, you can have Claude kind of summarize it. If you have a long thread, you can use that too, and much more. Claude for Excel. Claude for Excel brings Claude directly into Microsoft Excel through a sidebar, allowing you to analyze, understand, and modify spreadsheets through conversation. Tough. All right, Claude for PowerPoint. All right, you already know this. Claude for PowerPoint brings Claude into Microsoft PowerPoint as a sidebar so you can draft, edit, and restructure presentations through conversation while keeping your existing template and brand styling intact. And Claude for Chrome, we just look at this one. So Claude for Chrome is a browser extension that adds Claude as a sidebar in Google Chrome. It can observe what you're working on and take action directly within your browser. All right, and then we did the summary explaining the different times. See? So yeah, so that's it for pretty much Claude Code, Claude 101, other ways to work with Claude. In the next video, pretty much we're going to look at, the what's next section. So in the next video, we'll pretty much just look at that. And yeah, hope you enjoy this. Stick around. I remember you're here learning while learning Claude 101. We're doing this. We're almost done with this course. Just these two things left. What's next? And then the certificate of completion. And then we're done. And more learnings to come. If you enjoy learning together, just like, share, subscribe, add the comments. Maybe there are other courses you want us to look at and learn together. But yeah, you're with the nerdy yardy. And yeah, hope you enjoy this. And yeah, enjoy your day. And I'm out.